Hello, and thank you for watching my Student Innovation Project video, NFC-enabled electronic medical ID cards. My name is Kerry Bowe-Malsbury, and today I will talk to you about what an NFC-enabled electronic medical ID card is, what it addresses, certain HIPAA issues that could arise with such a card, and a brief overview and sketch of what the card will look like. So an NFC-enabled electronic medical ID card is a card used to store relevant, up-to-date patient information like allergies, health history, infectious diseases, and the like, as well as information regarding insurance, current medications, any current authorizations for medications and or procedures, and an advance directive or DNR, just to name a few. This card will be equipped with a smart chip embedded within a credit card-sized card holding the more confidential information, while the front and back of the card will display a photo of the patient, full name, birth date, allergies, any critical medical conditions, any medical symbols denoting additional caution when treating a patient. There are already a few different cards available today offering similar benefits, like the storage of medical history and current prescribed medications. However, the data stored on these cards is either determined by the patient or accessing the card would require a reader where one would have to insert the card into the reader to read the data. The NFC-enabled electronic medical ID card I have designed does still require a reader. However, the card does not have to be placed inside of the reader. Also, the data is verified by a physician, so it is correct, accurate, and up-to-date. So how does the card work? Well, as stated before, the ID card is the size of a credit card in both length and width. The thickness can be a bit more due to the embedded integrated circuits. When a card is held in front of a reader-writer, an electromagnetic field being emitted by the reader-writer powers up the card, allowing communications between the card and the reader-writer. Security tokens are passed between the card and the reader-writer. Upon successful authentication, the host operating system is granted access to the stored data that's on the card. The card is designed to be multi-purpose in that it can be used wherever any medical services are rendered. For instance, primary care or specialist visits. Certain specialists could be neurologist, gynecologist, ophthalmologist, optometrist, psychiatrist, any specialty doctor outside of your primary care physician. Laboratory tests, so any blood work that has to be done, the card can be used there. Medication fills and refills. Prescriptions can be stored on the card, and that card is then used as your prescription. Just take it to the pharmacy, give it to the pharmacist, and the medication is then filled from there. Going into the ER, just present the card to the check-in nurse, and then from there all the information that is needed is already on the card. And then any emergency services, ambulances and whatnot, they scan the card, they already know who you are, any issues that you may have, any diseases that they need to know about and whatnot, and it just makes the process a lot quicker. So the big thing being that this is a wireless card is that in regards to security. So being that the data on the card is transmitted wirelessly, there is a concern of tampering with the data on the card, mainly en route between the card and the reader, or if the card is placed in a wallet or purse and somebody comes by very in close proximity and is able to scan the card. This is mitigated by limiting the range that the card has to about 10 centimeters. Also, the card utilizes encryption, so that communication between the card and the reader-writer is encrypted. Further, to ensure that the data on the card is protected in the event that the card loses power, there's an anti-tear mechanism that protects the card and remembers what the data was while it's being either altered or changed. So if the card loses power, it retains the previous update, not the present update that was not completed. So HIPAA. HIPAA is really, really big in the medical community, as most know. So with this card, access to the EPHI, or Electronic Patient Health Information, will be based on user roles. So the nurse that's up front or the clerk that's up front probably won't be able to actually view certain medical diagnoses that are on the card. Ambulatory service won't be able to view medical diagnosis on the card. However, the administrative assistant would be able to access insurance information they need to be able to bill, but nurses and whatnot will be able to access the medical information, medical diagnosis. However, they won't be able to alter those medical diagnoses. That would be left up to the physician. And the physician, of course, will also be able to write prescriptions. So there is going to be an access matrix on who has access to what, who can see, who can alter, and whatnot. Auditing will be done centrally, mainly because the card, there's just not going to be enough size to keep that information. So each card is unique in that there is a serial number that each card has, and that will be registered centrally on who accessed and what was changed and what was accessed. So transmission of the data between host system and the card, of course, as mentioned before, will be encrypted, and further the anti-terror mechanism in case of accidental power loss. So here's a preliminary look of what the card will look like. As you can see, there are no contacts because this is a wireless card. The front and back of the card are designed to provide medical professionals with the minimal required information to allow them to identify and quickly treat the individual. As you can see here, there's the first name, last name, middle initial, if applicable, blood type, date of birth, signature of the individual, picture of the individual, any special conditions. In this case, AD stands for Advanced Directive. And quite honestly, off the top of my head, I forgot what ID was for. And then issue date. And then again on the back, we have the list of allergies that this particular individual has. So, of course, in an emergency situation, knowing that latex and penicillin are two items that an individual is allergic to would probably be very helpful, especially if they're about to utilize or use latex gloves or anything with latex in it, and give somebody that appears to have some sort of bacterial infection penicillin. So the next biggest concern is, what if the card is lost or stolen? Well, being that the card will be managed centrally and is based off of standards like ISO, IEC 14443 for the RF interface and utilizing strong encryption like AES and triple DES, the card will simply be canceled. So if someone tries to access the card, the security tokens are no longer valid. This, of course, is in the ideal situation that somebody tries to use an authorized reader at a medical facility. The card will just no longer work. It'll recognize that the tokens are no longer valid, immediately expire those, and the card now is pretty much useless. However, in the event that somebody does try and tamper with the card, the embedded security measures to help prevent tampering, if anyone tries to access the chip with incorrect access tokens, then the card simply self-destructs. Now, this is not like a Mission Impossible where smoke starts coming out of the card and flames start shooting out of the reader-writer. It's just the data on the card just simply disappears. It just erases itself. This is a security feature that the card will employ, so that way if somebody tries to access the data and fails to supply the appropriate tokens and whatnot, it's just, the data is just deleted and the card no longer is usable. I thank you for watching my Student Innovation Project video, and if you have any questions, go ahead and please drop me a line at beau, B-E-A-U, @malsbury, M-A-L-S-B-A-R-Y.net. And again, thank you for watching.